Hello everyone, this is part 64 of What If Naruto Meets the Nine Tails Early, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. HMPH. Tsunade should have known something was going to happen the moment she put the team together. Naruto and Konohamaru had just walked into the Hokage's office to join the remaining members of the team she had assembled to handle a mission to the Land of Birds. Hyuga Hinata and Hyuga Hanabi had been patiently waiting in the office for a few minutes now before Uzumaki Naruto and Sarutobi Konohamaru arrived, and that was when any sense of quiet in the room got up and promptly left. Hanabi groaned and she and Konohamaru immediately began arguing. What's up between them? Naruto whispered to Hinata. Hanabi blames Konohamaru for everyone getting injured during their last mission, responded Hinata. And it doesn't help that they've been like this ever since Hanabi moved up to Konohamaru's grade in the academy. Yeah, Konohamaru told me about that mission, said Naruto. He told me that he was able to take out the remaining enemies when Iruka-sensei created an opening, saving the rest of the team. Hanabi told me that it was Konohamaru who needed saving, resulting in Iruka-sensei getting injured, said Hinata. That was what allowed the rest of the bandits to attack the team before Anko-san was able to step in. Naruto sighed. I want to believe Konohamaru, but I know he wasn't telling me the truth, said Naruto. At least not all of it. He's a lot like you, said Hinata before Tsunade finally ended the various conversations going on through the room. Getting back to the reason I summoned the four of you here, said Tsunade, obviously irritated and only mere moments before either throwing her desk out the window for Kotetsu and Izumo to go fetch, again, or downing the 3 bottles of sake in her desk, or doing both. We have received a mission request from the Land of Birds. Over the past 6 months, the daimyo Lord Awashi sickbed to illness and passed away. As well, so did the younger sister of the heir to the throne, Lady Toki. Now, the country has finished preparations to coronate Lord Sagi as the new daimyo, with the exception of one problem. Apparently a ghost warrior has been attacking some of the officials and they have asked for us to provide security during the coronation celebrations. Tsunade looked up from the mission doent in front of her face to only find 3 of the 4 people she summoned present. Looking over her desk, she spotted the 4th. GG Ghost, shrieked a shivering Naruto. You said nothing about a G Ghost. Everyone in the room just sweat dropped at the blonde's antics. Really, Neeson? Groaned Hanabi. What? Ghosts are scary, defended Naruto. The Gaki can look the Kyuubi in the eye without even so much as a bead of sweat on his brow, but he's afraid of ghosts. Just great, groaned Tsunade. Based on the most recent actions, Hinata, you appear to have the most leveled head in this room. Tsunade tossed Hinata the mission briefing, indicating the assignment of Hinata as the team leader. The 4 of you are dismissed. Report here tomorrow morning to meet the client and be prepared to depart. Konohamaru and Hanabi immediately ran off in separate directions, not really wanting to spend too much time around one another. I'm going to go and find Iruka-sensei. If anyone has the full story, it's him, said Naruto. Okay, I'll meet you at Ichiraku for dinner later tonight then, asked Hinata, giving Naruto a quick K on the cheek before the couple went their separate ways for the day. It didn't take Naruto too long to arrive at Iruka's apartment. The scar-faced Jonin had been discharged from the hospital, although his arm was still in a sling as Naruto saw when Iruka answered the door. Naruto, what are you doing here? Asked Iruka. Hey Iruka-sensei. Well, you see, I wanted to ask you about what happened on the last mission that got Konohamaru and Hanabi at each other's tea, said Naruto, earning a questioning look from Iruka. I kind of got assigned a mission with Hinata-chan and, let me guess, Hokage-sama added him to the mission as well. Naruto nodded and Iruka sighed. Remind me to treat you to ramen if you make it back with your mind intact. Anyways, those two have had a big rivalry ever since Hanabi joined Konohamaru's class in the academy. In a sense, it was a lot like how you and Sasuke acted back in the academy. But anyways, during the last mission, we were assigned to eliminate a rather large camp of bandits. It was the first real mission that my team had been on, and Anko-san's team was assigned to provide us with additional support. When we arrived at the camp, Anko and I had established a plan that would allow us to take down a sizable number of their forces before they had any time to react. Okay, sounds understandable, said Naruto. Yeah, and that's what we all agreed on, take him out quick and silent, said Iruka. We took our positions, but Udon ended up slipping on a nearby branch and tumbling into one of the bushes on the outskirts of the camp. This startled a few of the bandits, but many of them passed it off as an animal or something. I ordered for everyone to hold their positions, however, a few of the bandits got up and went to investigate the animal. I made a quick signal to Udon to use a transformation jutsu, but before that happened, Konohamaru began the attack, thinking that if he didn't they were going to hurt or kill Udon. So Konohamaru began the attack. Seeing as there were already a few bandits alert, I'm guessing the element of surprise went right out the door. Asked Naruto. Yep. Within a minute or two, we had the entire camp upon us. There were also a few lower-ranking ninja that Anko and I were busy taking care of, said Iruka. While that was going on, the 6 genin were busy with the bandits. They were doing fairly well against them, but their numbers began to overwhelm them. By the time I had finished up with the ninja Mogi, Udon, Katami, and Koshi had all sustained sufficient injuries to put them out of the fight. They would survive, but they wouldn't fight. Another bandit made an attempt to attack Konohamaru, but before he could get anywhere near him, the bandit crumpled to the ground unable to move. Hanabi and the Yukon, I'm guessing? Asked Naruto, receiving a nod from Iruka. Well, Hanabi saving him certainly didn't help, I'd imagine. Nope. There were still about a dozen bandits to take care of, far too many for Konohamaru and Hanabi to deal with, so I ordered them to take the rest of the genin and retreat. I was able to take care of the bandits, but broke my arm in the process. Anko was also injured during her battle with one of the shinobi amongst their ranks. Apparently he was a high chunin rank from Iwa. All in all, Hanabi blames Konohamaru for the mission going the way it did and putting most of the team in the hospital. Alright, thanks Iruka-sensei, said Naruto. I mean, it was a tough call and Konohamaru just acted. Either Udon was going to be discovered and the mission would have gone straight to hell, or they would have remained in their positions and hoped that Udon would have been able to slip away unnoticed. I'll be honest, I probably would have just done what Konohamaru would have done. Yeah, but at the same time you have to look at the difference in skill between you and everyone on that team. Not to mention you could have just made an army and the bandits with overwhelming numbers, replied Kurama. And that's what happened, said Naruto in between slurps of ramen. I don't think I can say necessarily whether or not Konohamaru was right in that situation, replied Hinata as she took a much smaller sip of her miso ramen. I guess I would have waited for Iruka-sensei or Anko-sensei to make the first move, but I understand that if Konohamaru didn't do anything, then Udon would have been discovered and possibly injured or worse. Konohamaru thinks he was right, Hanabi thinks he was wrong, and according to Iruka-sensei their rivalry is about as big as the one I had with Sasuke back in the academy, said Naruto. But that rivalry eventually led to the bond between the two of you that exists today, said Hinata. Yeah, he may be a team at times, but to me he's like a brother, said Naruto. Naruto's attention to his ramen was broken as he felt a pair of eyes watching him and Hinata. Turning around, he saw a man with large round glasses and brown hair quickly duck behind the corner of Ichiraku Ramen. Hey, don't just stand out there and stare, said Naruto. Sorry, it just smells so good and I don't exactly have the money to pay for it right now, said the man. I kind of spent all of it to commission a mission. Huh, a mission? Asked Naruto. Naruto-kun. Hinata called out from inside Ichiraku, wondering where her boyfriend had gone. Oh, who's this? Oh, Hinata-chan, this is, forgive me. I'm Chishima, introduced the man. Hinata's eyes widened slightly at the name mentioned, the name listed on the mission briefing as their client. Wait, so you're the one who commissioned the mission for the Land of Birds? Asked Naruto. Yeah, I suppose I am, said Chishima. Well then please come in. We are two of the ninja assigned to escort you beginning tomorrow. Why don't you join us and we can get acquainted? Suggested the polite Hinata. Chishima graciously took up the invitation, much to the foreboding feeling coming from Gama-chan. Naruto and Hinata left Ichiraku and Chishima for the night, with Hinata trying to console a crying Naruto who was holding a deflated Gama-chan. Between him and Chishima, the two of them had eaten Ichiraku out of food and Tuki was forced to close the restaurant early for the night. Of course, He had plenty of money to restock his pantry courtesy of Naruto. The Hyuga compound quickly came into view and Hinata invited Naruto as Hiashi was beginning to show more interest in some of Naruto's missions and training. However, as they passed through the gate, Naruto and Hinata heard a menacing growl towards them courtesy of Hyuga Moriko. "How dare you sully our home with your presence," growled the Hyuga elder. "Isn't it enough that you've already defiled one of our own?" Naruto just rolled his eyes and ignored the Hyuga. The Hyuga clan was just like the rest of the village. There were a few who saw Naruto for who he truly was and respected him. Most of them had a neutral view of Naruto, but then there were those few hard, demon haters, that even Naruto knew weren't going away anytime soon. People like the Hyuga elders and Konoha's civilian council, minus Sakura's father, were amongst those few who wanted to do everything they could to make Naruto suffer. However, their numbers were dwindling, and Naruto was hoping it wouldn't be much longer before he began to win them over as well. "Moriko, I suggest you leave my daughter alone and retire for the night," said the Hyuga head as he stepped from his home. "As an elder of this clan, I feel it's my duty to ensure that our clan isn't seen associating with anyone of a lower stature," said Moriko as he slowly turned to walk away. "The last thing I would want is for someone of this clan to become the whore of some lowly demon." Both Naruto and Hiashi heard this little jab of Moriko's and there was no way they were going to let the smug bastard get away with insulting Hinata like that. Both of them had gathered chakra into their palms, one preparing for a Yuken strike and the other a Rasengan. However, before either could make a move to strike Moriko, the chakra in their arms was set off and a hand grasped their wrists, keeping them from striking the Hyuga elder. "Please don't," begged Hinata as she felt the two men in her grasp relax. "I don't want either of you getting in trouble because of Moriko. Let him say what he wishes for his words are just that, words. To me, his words mean nothing. In time, he'll come to realize just how blind he truly is." Moriko shot the trio one last glance before leaving Hiashi, Hinata, and Naruto for the night. The following morning, Hinata, Naruto, Hanabi, Konohamaru, and Chishima departed the gate and made for the land of birds, typically a 4-day journey for trained shinobi, but with the presence of Chishima, it would be 6 days. "I still don't get why Konohamaru Barker had to come," stated Hanabi rudely. "This is supposed to be a simple mission. And it'll only be that much simpler with me here," boasted Konohamaru. "Besides, we've got Naruto Naichan with us." "It's not Naruto Naichan I'm worried about," said Hanabi. "I'm just worried you'll do something stupid again." "Hey, if I hadn't stopped those bandits, they would have gotten udon," retorted Konohamaru. "There's no way I was going to let that happen. You should have just waited for Iruka-sensei or Anko-sensei to do something then," retorted Hanabi. "They would have been able to save udon and keep the entire camp off Ara." Naruto and Hinata sent each other a quick glance and just sighed. This argument continued for the rest of the day until it started to turn into something that got Hinata turning red. "If only you weren't trying to show off all the time, Barker," shouted Hanabi. "I know for one I've never found myself impressed by you." "Oh, don't get your hopes up, Hanabi. Besides, why would I ever want to impress you?" retorted Konohamaru. "Because I'm the heiress of Konoha's largest clan. I've already had half a dozen marriage propositions offered to me from various clans from around Fire Country," bragged Hanabi. 10 might have been a little too young to think about marriage, but when dealing with clan relations, there were those who wanted to try and secure their positions early. "Yeah, well those guys must really be messed up in the head or something. You're loud, have a temper, and not to mention a little flat in the areas guys really pay attention to," replied Konohamaru. Naruto practically choked on the apple he was busy eating, Hinata had a blank expression on her red face, and a certain fox was having trouble breathing as he laughed at the young Sarutobi's impending doom. One strong punch upside the head fueled by feminine fury was the only warning Konohamaru had. "I'll have you know that I'm only 10. And that I'm much bigger than any girl my age. Just you wait. One day I'll have be as big and full as Nisan or even Tsunade-sama." "Hanabi," shouted Hinata, trying to stop the argument before it got even more out of control. It was late in the evening when the Konoha team came within sight of the gates of the capital of the land of birds. There was an eerie chill in the air. "Do you feel that?" "Yeah, something's going on over there," replied Naruto. "Hinata, look over in that direction." Hinata took the blonde's advice and activated her Byakugan, looking off in the direction Naruto was pointing. There's a warrior dressed in ancient samurai armor inside someone's house. The man's in his bed and appears to be reaching for a sword, and there are a number of warriors outside the house. Hinata also further described the man whom was being confronted by the ghostly warrior. What? That sounds like it's the cursed warrior, exclaimed Chishima. And he's attacking Kome-sama. We've got to do something. Right, let's go, ordered Hinata. Arriving at the house of the Land of Birds strategist, Kome, the Konoha team arrived just in time to see the cursed warrior rise up into the air and practically glide over top the army that had assembled to capture it. Able to pursue the mystery ghost, the Konoha team found themselves chasing the mysterious intruder all the way to the outskirts of the city until an old temple came into view, and it appeared as if the ghost was descending. It definitely looks like there's a person inside that armor, stated Hanabi as she noticed the presence of a functional chakra network within the suit of armor. Hinata nodded at Hanabi's analysis, seeing the same thing. Stop! Shouted Konohamaru as the samurai landed on the temple grounds. The warrior turned around to see the young Sarutobi lunge at him with a knife at the ready. Drawing its sword, the warrior blocked Konohamaru's attack and sent the young Sarutobi flying back. Naruto-kun, there's a shinobi on the inside of that armor. I can see the usage of chakra, said Hinata. Naruto grabbed his own blade from his side and made a move on the ghost. The cursed warrior made an effort to block and retaliate against Naruto's attack, but the difference in skill with the sword was evident, as all the ghost would do was deflect Naruto's blade so that it would still S him through the shoulder. Considering Naruto wasn't going for AK and only to disarm, that S wound in the shoulder wasn't an improvement. Jumping back, the warrior did the only thing it could and whipped up a violent whirlwind to act as a barrier between himself and the Konoha ninja. Naruto just smirked as he channeled some chakra into his blade and see through the whirlwind with ease. As soon as his blade made contact with the jutsu, the curse warrior's whirlwind barrier began to recede as it was absorbed into Arashi. Yukan, 8 trigrams, 32 palms, exclaimed Hanabi as she went into one of the Hyuga's signature attacks. Hey, that got him. The warrior was thrown against a tree, defeated, but as the Konoha team approached the enemy, a gas rose out from between the cracks and joints of the armor as it slumped over and fell into its separate pieces. A greenish liquid then seeped out of the armor. What is that? Exclaimed Hanabi. I could have sworn there was a person inside. Seems our ghost was prepared in case of capture, said Naruto. It looks like he took some sort of S-capsule to prevent himself from being captured. What? Exclaimed Konohamaru. But I didn't get a chance to show him my true skills. You mean your skills at getting shot back into bushes? Retorted Hanabi. Konohamaru just squinted his eyes at Hanabi, who stuck her tongue out at the young Sarutobi. However, as Konohamaru removed his attention from Hanabi, the Hyuga heiress look changed to one showing a bit of disappointment. After the whole incident with the warrior, the Konoha team was shown to a guest cabin that they could use for their time in the Land of Birds. They were informed that they would meet with Lord Moso, Lord Sagi's chief advisor, in the morning, where they would discuss the cursed warrior issue and the upcoming coronation. It was late in the night and most everyone had gone to sleep. Naruto and Hinata had fallen asleep next to each other, which had led to Hinata cuddling up into Naruto's embrace. Konohamaru and Hanabi were then separated by the blissful couple. In the wee hours of the morning, Naruto found himself awakened by a predicament. He really had to use the bathroom. Slowly working his way out of Hinata's grasp, he managed to get up to go and do his business. On his way back into the main room where everyone was sleeping, he noticed Konohamaru's bed empty. Out of curiosity, Naruto took a quick look around and just outside the guest house, eventually finding his young rival sitting atop the roof and in deep thought. Konohamaru, what are you doing up so late? Asked Naruto as he sat down beside Konohamaru. I messed up again today, Naruto-Nichan, sighed Konohamaru. I thought I could rush in there and take down that enemy, but I just ended up embarrassing myself. Why are you trying so hard? I mean, I admire your determination, but you should at least take a moment to think before jumping into a situation. Naruto paused for a moment. You know, that honestly sounded kind of weird coming from me. Both brothers laughed at Naruto's last words. But if I don't act, I could lose my chance, said Konohamaru. Chance? What chance? Asked Naruto. You know, my chance. My chance to prove myself, said Konohamaru. Konohamaru, you don't need to prove yourself to me, said Naruto. I already know you're a strong shinobi who's going to be a great Hokage someday, after me that is though. Ha, you just admitted that I'll be Hokage someday, exclaimed Konohamaru. Perhaps, but you've got to earn it, said Naruto. And that means knowing what it is you're rushing into. Now, if I'm not the one you're trying to impress, then who? I mean, I guess because Hinata-chan is the team leader you could be looking for some sort of commendation. Or, it's Hanabi's attention you're trying to get. No, it's not, shouted Konohamaru as he began to take on a slight blush across his face. That blush did not, by any means, go unnoticed. Oh, I think it is, grinned Naruto. Believe me, I know exactly what you're trying to do. You're just trying to get Hanabi's attention, although I think you're going about it in all the wrong ways. Konohamaru let out a sigh. Am I really going about it wrong, boss? Yeah, you can't try and force something, especially a relationship. Trust me, I learned the hard way when I used to have a crush on Sakura-chan, said Naruto, subconsciously rubbing his jaw. Then what am I supposed to do? Asked Konohamaru. Don't worry, I'll help you, said Naruto. Inside the guest house, Naruto and Konohamaru weren't the only ones up and talking. I think I see what's going on here, smiled Hinata. You like Konohamaru? I do not, shouted Hanabi. At exactly the same time Konohamaru blurted, no it's not, from outside the guest house. Hanabi then began to blush slightly and twiddle her fingers in a very Hinata-esque fashion. Okay, maybe, but I just wish he'd stop being so blunt and such a barker. Perhaps you've got to tone it down a little, suggested Hinata. What do you mean tone it down? Asked Hanabi. Well, for one, don't call him a barker, said Hinata as she continued to give her younger sister some advice. The following day, the Konoha team along with Chishima met with the priest and chief advisor, Moso. Their first impression of the man was that he was a jovial and humble individual. He was also quick in expressing his gratitude towards the Konoha ninja for responding to their mission request. Following the meeting with the chief advisor, Hinata made a request to Chishima to meet Lord Sagi himself, and Chishima obliged, telling them that the best place to meet Lord Sagi was by a lake just outside the city. Observing from the reeds at the edge of the lake, the Konoha team watched as a carriage approached the side of the lake. The curtains of the carriage opened and they got their first glimpse of Lord Sagi. He was young with chin-length purple hair. However, a look of sadness, mourning, and grief hung over his face. He's actually kind of cute, said Hanabi. HMPH, he's not that great, snorted Konohamaru to himself. Before anything else could be said, Naruto's senses kicked into gear and he immediately launched a few shuriken to knock away about half a dozen shuriken that came flying out of the water. Immediately, Sagi's guards were on guard as three masked ninja rose from the lake with swords at the ready to attack the young lord. However, before they could even advance much further, Naruto shunshined in front of Sagi's carriage and charged at the three ninja. He quickly made two clones to accompany him as the rest of the team arrived to guard Sagi. Much to Hinata's horror, the blades of the attackers fell straight through Naruto and his clones, but the grins coming from Naruto's face told otherwise. All three Narutos disappeared in a burst of smoke, giving Hinata a much-needed sigh of relief. As the three attackers continued their assault, they soon fell to the ground, completely unable to move and bound by a sealing matrix that was now covering their entire body. Well, what do you know? They worked, Tobio, exclaimed Naruto as he appeared next to his team. Naruto-kun, shouted Hinata, please warn me before you do something like that again. They may be clones, but I still don't like seeing you being impaled by a sword. Naruto rubbed the back of his head. Sorry Hinata-chan, but I saw this as a good time to test my newest jutsu, seal clones. Seal clones? Asked all three of his teammates. Yeah. They're a variant of shadow clones, but using the chakra that they are made out of, I implant a seal within them, which activates when someone makes them dispel. That seal can be anything really. I just used an immobilization seal for these guys, but in reality I could have done a chakra draining seal, or even an exploding seal, said Naruto. The three captured ninja sweated at the mention that the seals that were now immobilizing them could have potentially blown up on them. Unfortunately, in order for the seals to actually activate, the clones need to be, K, and such. Sagi-sama, are you alright? Hinata asked, turning to the young lord while Naruto took care of their captors. Sagi sighed. It would have been better if those ninja had killed. Naruto caught this and immediately turned to Sagi. What was that? Growled Naruto. Sagi just ignored Naruto and turned away as his carriage was carried back towards the city. Naruto was about to go back, but was stopped by Chishima. Please don't push Sagi-sama, Naruto-san, pleaded Chishima. He's been like this ever since his father and younger sister passed away. Thank you everyone for saving Sagi-sama, said Chishima. I'm going to go and discuss the presence of enemy ninja with Moso-sama. Now please excuse me. And with that Chishima headed back to the village. I say we ask our friends what they were doing here, said Naruto as he turned to the three ninja lying on the ground before him. I don't see any village markings on them. Where could they be from? Asked Hinata. Don't worry, I'll find out. I may not be a Biki, but Ero-sennin taught me a few things about interrogation, said Naruto, a mischievous and very fox-like grin appearing on his face. Chishima had arrived at Moso's home and was about to barge in when he heard the voice of Moso from inside. Hoki-sama, 3 of our numbers have been captured by the ninja from Konoha present in this country, announced a voice from inside the chamber where Moso was currently seated. Wondering where those voices were coming from, Chishima peered through a crack in the door. There was no one in the room until Chishima looked upwards towards the ceiling and noticed about a dozen or so ninja. Moso let out a low growl. In the event that the Konoha shinobi are able to gain the truth from those 3, our plans for this land will be ruined, said Moso. We are going to have to act quickly if we wish to take over this land. I wish it would have to come to this, but we're going to have to act tonight. We can frame Kome for the M of Sagi through this cursed warrior gimmick and I will be able to claim the throne of this land. Chishima let out a gasp at learning that Moso was actually the leader of a group of ninja and was planning a coup d'etat shortly. However, Chishima's gasp alerted the ninja present in the room and soon found him dodging a flurry of shuriken that came bursting through the thin wall. Unfortunately for Chishima, he wasn't able to dodge them all and a few struck him, resulting in some grievous injuries. As the ninja emerged from the house, they noticed that their little spy was long gone, however, he left behind a fresh trail of beef for them to follow. It didn't take long for the ninja to catch up with the injured Chishima and in an attempt to eliminate their loose end, they unleashed more sharp weapons upon Chishima, who stepped back out of fear, only to slip off the bank and enter a passing river, thankfully dodging the shuriken that were meant to end him. The ninja attempted to search for Chishima, but to no avail. And unfortunately for them, a search would only draw attention to them and they had a tactician to frame for the M of a feudal lord later that night. Damn it, swore Naruto as he emerged from room where he had interrogated the 3 captured ninja, Hanabi coming out a few seconds later followed by a small frog. For the past 20 minutes, screams of pain, and a few croaks, had been coming from inside Naruto's little interrogation chamber and to say Hanabi was fascinated by a few of the interrogation techniques the blonde knew, well despite being a student of Anko, she was surprised. Still, Naruto was nowhere near the levels of Anko or Ibiki in terms of interrogation, but he knew enough to get his captives to croak. Naruto-kun, what's wrong? Asked Hinata. We need to find Chishima now. That mossy guy is actually named Hoki and is the leader of a band of ninja looking to take over this country, stated Naruto. With haste, the 4 Konoha ninja bolted out of the door of their house and towards the mansion of Moso, or Hoki, hoping to reach Chishima before anything bad happened. Chishima-san, shouted Hinata as she noticed a torn and bee body crawling along the side of the river. Hi, Hinata-san, Naruto-san, groaned Chishima in obvious pain. Mossy. We know. His little henchman told us of their plans to take over this country, said Naruto. Let's get him back to the house, said Hinata. Immediately upon arriving at the guest house, Chishima was laid down on a bed and Hinata began to treat his wounds, surprising most of the people there as her hands began to glow green. You know medical jutsu, Hinata-chan? Asked a surprised Naruto. I'm not an actual medic, but Sakura-san and Shizune-san taught me a few basics of medical jutsu. Seeing as I've got the chakra control and the fact that Tsunade-sama has actually wanted someone in the Hyuga clan to learn medical ninjutsu, there were no problems with teaching me so long as the clan elders don't find out. What's wrong with those old prunes finding out anyways? Asked Konohamaru. My clan's held up in their traditions, answered Hanabi. The elders see medical jutsu as a wasteful use of the Byakugan, despite all the potential uses it may have as a surgeon's tool. When it comes to what the Byakugan will be used for, the clan elders have more power than my father, who was more than willing to offer Tsunade a member or two from our clan to learn medical jutsu. What? That just sounds stupid. I mean, I'm no medical expert, but can't the Byakugan see inside a person's body? Asked Konohamaru, receiving a confirmation from Hanabi and Hinata. I must say I'm surprised, you and I actually agree on something for once, said Hanabi, shooting Konohamaru a small smile. Yeah, well, don't get used to it, replied Konohamaru. Oh, trust me, I won't, continued Hanabi. Nissan's the only one who can really do anything along the lines of learning medical jutsu without facing too many repercussions. Why's that? Asked Konohamaru. She can't be sealed, said Hanabi. She's the only one with a legitimate B contract protecting her. If the elders even make a move to seal her, they will less as a result of the contract. What? Really? Gasped Konohamaru. B contracts are an incredibly difficult piece of fuinjutsu to make and bind the users to whatever agreement is on that contract, said Naruto. It's linked with the chakra of whoever signs it, and should one not hold up their end of the bargain, they will less. And those greedy pigs value their lives enough to keep them from sealing Nissan, said Hanabi. I on the other hand may be the heiress, but there's always that slim chance they could force the seal onto me if I do something that really pisses them off. Speaking of which, how much longer do you think, Hinata-chan? Asked Naruto, referring to a certain plan of Hiyashi's coming to fruition. Father estimates that he'll be ready by the end of the year, said Hinata as she finished up treatment on Chishima. I hope so, said Naruto. Konohamaru, please don't mention anything that was said in this room. And Hanabi, just to let you know, there's no way I'm letting those bastards stick that damned seal on you. Besides, even if they do, it won't stay on long. I can feel I'm getting close to a breakthrough on removing it, and even then that seal I used to rid Anko-sensei of that curse mark will work on the caged bird seal, just ask Neji. Neji Nissan. But he still has his seal, exclaimed a surprised Hanabi. Fake. And he's actually not a bad actor. He fooled the elders once already, grinned Naruto. Serves them right, exclaimed Konohamaru. And don't worry Hanabi, I'm with Naruto Naichin on this one. I won't let those bastards have their way with you. Hanabi felt a slight blush come to her face. Thanks, Kono. But you're still a barker. Everyone faltered at that. But you're a good barker, kind of like Naruto Nissan. Alright you two, interrupted Hinata. Prepare yourselves. We've got a daimyo to rescue before those ninja get to him. As Hanabi and Konohamaru went to prepare themselves for an impending battle, Hinata turned to Naruto. Naruto-kun, Sagi-sama. I know. My nose may not be as strong as Kiba's, but thanks to Kurama, my senses are more powerful than normal, said Naruto. It was faint, but I was able to smell it. Sagi's not Sagi. Cavern underneath the daimyo's residence. Nisama, a vengeful voice said as they opened a closet to reveal a set of old samurai armor, the same as that of the cursed warrior. Today I'll finally avenge you and father for the wrongs that were committed. As the armor and weapons of the warrior were pulled from its place of storage, the reflection of Lord Sagi gleamed in the steel, only Sagi wasn't Sagi, nor was Sagi a man. Instead of the reflection of Sagi, the reflection of a female version of Sagi shone. It was not Sagi who had been driven to these lengths, and it was not Sagi who sought vengeance, rather it was Sagi's younger twin sister, Toki. He's not here, exclaimed Hinata as she scanned the daimyo's mansion with her Byakugan. Wait. Hinata's attention was diverted towards a system of tunnels that were directly underneath the mansion, and with haste, she led her team over towards a hidden entrance into one of the tunnels. It didn't take much longer before they came across what had caught Hinata's attention, an open closet with weapons and parts of armor that resembled those of the cursed warrior. So does this mean Sagi's the cursed warrior? Asked Naruto. Perhaps, said Hinata. We still need to find Sagi-sama before Moso does. Summoning jutsu. Both Hinata and Naruto shouted in unison. Yo! Greeted Gamakichi. Since the last time Naruto had summoned Gamakichi, the toad had grown to be about the same size as Naruto in terms of height. Greetings, Hinata-sama, bowed Isamu, one of Hinata's white tiger summons that had also grown quite a bit, making him about the same size as Akamaru. We need you guys to track down Sagi-sama, said Naruto. You got anything with his scent? Asked Gamakichi. Naruto pointed to the spare weapons and armor pieces and Isamu, and Gamakichi took a whiff. I don't know about this Sagi-sama guy. This smell is inherently feminine. I know, just follow it, ordered Naruto. It's getting stronger this way, said Isamu as he led the Konoha shinobi down the tunnel and towards the location of Sagi Moso's mansion. Standing out on his porch, Moso looked up into the evening sky and grinned. In the distance, he could make out a faint figure floating through the air, the cursed warrior. I thought I would have to go to you, but instead you come to me, Sagi. And even better as the cursed warrior. This way, I won't have to waste time trying to frame Kome. I may not lawfully be able to K the daimyo, but the cursed warrior is a different story. Moso made a slight hand signal for his ninja to remain hidden in the bushes. Kaiten, great fireball jutsu. Moso exhaled a breath of fire at the incoming ghost, nicking the kite that the cursed warrior was attached to and also scorching parts of the armor. The ghost fell from the sky, crashing into a nearby tree and tumbling to the ground as some of the flames from Moso's previous attack spread to the mask. The ghost immediately was forced to off the mask, revealing himself to be Sagi, just as Moso had predicted. You must have some nerve appearing here, cursed warrior, mused Mosoi. You're not the priest Moso. Who are you really? Asked Sagi. Moso went into a lengthy explanation about how he appeared before his father, Lord Awashi, as the holy man, Moso, and how he later Awashi after gaining the Lord's trust and favor. Damn it, so it was you, growled Sagi. And all I have to do now is K you. Once that happens, I'll finally accomplish what I set out to do and can claim the throne to this land. Declared Moso. You bastard, I'll K you and avenge my family. Declared Sagi. With that declaration, Sagi charged at Moso, intent on running him through with his Naginator. Moso simply jumped upward to dodge the thrust and landed on top of the blade, simply standing there like an egg balancing on a spoon. Sagi attempted to throw Moso off the tip of the Naginator and Moso jumped backwards, landing gracefully on his feet. Out of anger, Sagi threw the Naginator at Moso, who easily deflected the weapon with his fan and sent it flying back at Sagi, knocking the helm of his head, surprising Moso at who was really standing in front of him. You're, gasped Moso. Yeah, that's right. My name's Toki. Declared Toki, the true Idini of Sagi finally being revealed. And I will avenge my father and brother's death. With that, Toki unsheathed her sword and charged at Moso. Moso dodged Toki's strike and quickly moved to disarm her, elbowing the girl in the abdomen and causing her to gasp as the air escaped her lungs. Moso grabbed the sword from Toki and prepared to the princess's tea, but found his blade blocked by another. You, growled Moso. You're, gasped Toki. Uzumaki Naruto at your service, grinned Naruto as he threw back Moso, away from Toki. Lady Toki, I presume. In a number of flashes, more shinobi appeared in the courtyard of Moso's mansion. Both Moso's forces and the remainder of Naruto's team had joined the fray. Watching from in the bushes, Chishima gasped at the revelation that Sagi was actually Toki before rushing out to Toki's side. Chishima asked a surprised Toki, before regaining herself. All of you go away. I'll be the one to take care of Moso and avenge my father and brother. No, replied Naruto. You can't allow vengeance to consume you like that. Your father and brother wouldn't have wanted that. What are you saying? That I should just let Moso get away with it? Shouted Toki. No, they need to be brought to justice, but if you let them allow to control you like that through vengeance, you won't end up any better than they are, said Naruto. Believe me, I've had a few people who are close to me nearly succumb to that type of darkness. Naruto was referring to a number of people, most notably Kurama, who gave in to his anger long ago when Hikare was sealed away, becoming the demon most people see him as now. Had Naruto not have come, who knows what the giant fox would be like now. A few others who had managed to come back from that path included Sasuke, Kyuki, and Haruna, and as long as he was there, he wasn't going to let Toki go down that path. Allow me to take care of Moso, or should I say Hoki? Questioned Naruto. Moso merely grinned before throwing off his robes to reveal his true Idini. Instead of an elderly holy man, Naruto was now looking at a man around Kakashi's age with short hair and face paint below the eyes and above the eyebrows. Please Toki-sama, remember how it was back in those days, said Chishima as he tried to sway Toki from her path of vengeance. Continuing down your current path won't bring those days back. And I knew Sagi-sama well enough to know that he would never want you to live like this. Please, Toki-sama. Looking over at Toki, she was clearly in conflict with herself. She could not deny what Chishima was saying. Will you just stop talking already? You've served your use as my servant, growled Hoki. Kaiten, great fireball jutsu. Naruto simply watched as the fireball closed in on him as he made a single bird seal. Futon, great breakthrough. Naruto's jutsu was unsurprisingly much stronger than Hoki's despite the elemental disadvantage and quickly snuffed out Hoki's fireball. He had been practicing casting jutsus using fewer seals and many of his simpler wind jutsu he could cast with just a single seal. He was currently working on getting them to the point where he could perform those wind jutsu seal-less, but considering he had been busy over the past month, he was making good progress on the mastering of his wind element. Once he was able to make it through his arsenal of wind jutsus with no more than one seal, he would be ready to attempt the Raisin Shuriken without Sage Mode. The gust powered through Hoki's defenses and sent him flying back into his house, crashing through the front door. Naruto-kun, I'll take care of the remainder of the ninja, you deal with Hoki. Hanabi, Konohamaru, guard Toki-sama and Chishima-san, ordered Hinata. Konohamaru and Hanabi took a defensive position around Toki and Chishima while Hinata began to fight off the attacking ninja. Opting to utilize the Yusho stance, Hinata made quick work while dodging the enemy ninjas' attacks and striking back before they even had a chance to retaliate. As Hinata threw one of her attackers away, a mass of what appeared to be sand rose up around her and attempted to encase her in it. This is Gaara-sama's jutsu, thought the surprised Hyuga. Yusho, protection of the 8 trigrams. Hinata quickly set into her defensive jutsu, knocking away the sand before it could even become much of a concern as she now faced a rather large opponent that appeared to be able to control the sand. I see you're a Hyuga. Your yuken won't work on me, claimed the man. Hinata simply shrugged the man's declaration off and dashed at the man, ducking underneath his punch and her extended fingers into his stomach. The man had thought his defense, a body composed of stone, would have been enough to stop the strike as he was aware that the Hyuga's taijutsu damaged the body's soft tissues. However, the pain that shot through his stomach was telling him otherwise. How? Grunted the man. My Byakugan is telling me that your body is hard like stone. Typically, that would have prevented you from receiving the worst of the Yuken's chakra burst, but unlike the Yuken, my attacks see through anything, including stone, with ease. To prove her point, B began to seep out of the wound that Hinata's wind-enhanced chakra blast created just below his ribs. Hinata then slipped into her next stance, the Yusho modified version of the Yuken's 8 trigrams stance. Yusho, 8 trigrams, 32 palms. Exclaimed Hinata, striking the man with numerous wind-enhanced chakra strikes in the tenketsu that would guarantee her opponent's inability to continue. She had chosen the lesser version of the attack as a means to simply immobilize him and prevent him from molding any more chakra. Had she have used the 64 palms, there was a good chance the man would have and the 128 palms was virtually a guaranteed K. Along with the rest of these wandering ninja, this man would face his crimes at the hands of the people of the land of birds. While Hinata was busy fighting off some of the tougher opponents, Konohamaru and Hanabi were not denied any action as the weaker of the ninja were left for them to deal with. Still, despite being genin, Konohamaru and Hanabi were handling themselves with relative ease against these opponents without Konohamaru simply rushing in there and making the situation worse. While the rest of Hoki's ninja were being dealt with, the leader managed to pick himself out of his door and faced Naruto. He was already a little weary from that last hit. He had not expected a jutsu of that power to come from a Chunin ninja. He had commissioned a C rank mission on purpose. Knowing that the highest ranking ninja typically present on a C rank mission was a Chunin, he felt confident in his ability to handle an average Chunin. However, the way in which Naruto was presenting himself and the aura of strength he was giving off, it was almost like he was staring down a high-ranking jonin. Suten, Water Dragon Jutsu. Shouted Hoki as water erupted from an underground stream beneath his home and formed into a large water dragon. Again, the attack didn't faze Naruto as he prepared for his counter. Futon, Wind Dragon Bullet. Shouted Naruto as he exhaled a mighty gust of wind in the shape of a wind dragon's head. The two jutsus collided and despite Hoki's just being the higher ranking of the two, Naruto's was much more powerful and tore through Hoki's dragon. Hoki growled. I won't let you ruin my plans, you bastard. You should have thought of that before you hired me for this mission, said Naruto as he quickly charged Hoki. The leader of the wandering ninja didn't even have time to react before Naruto was upon him and struck at him with his sword. Like with Hinata, he didn't KO Hoki, just injured him enough to remove him from the battle completely. It would be up to the people of the land of birds to decide Hoki's fate. As the blonde placed an immobilization seal on Hoki, he turned around to see the rest of his team finishing up with the remainder of Hoki's men, and Chishima and Toki breathed a sigh of relief that everything was over and was going to be alright. The following day, Naruto, Hinata, Hanabi, and Konohamaru watched from a distance as Toki revealed herself to the people of the land of birds, asking for forgiveness for deceiving them and a chance to usher in a new age for the country. While it saddened some that Lord Sagi was no longer amongst them, many rejoiced that the beloved Lady Toki was still alive, especially Chishima. It was later that afternoon that the Konoha team departed for home. Late one night, Naruto, Hinata, Hanabi, and Konohamaru had set up camp for the night. Both Naruto and Hinata were sleeping peacefully in each other's arms, and Hanabi was currently on guard duty. Unfortunately for Konohamaru, his bladder woke him up and the young Sarutobi drug himself away from the camp to relieve himself. After taking care of business, Konohamaru's attention was captured by the sound of splashing water nearby, and his curiosity got the better of him. As Konohamaru approached the source of his curiosity, he noticed a rather large waterfall through the bushes with the moonlight glistening off the mist. What really caught his attention though was what appeared to be a person standing on the surface of the water just beneath the waterfall. As Konohamaru tried to get a better look at who was there, he could tell that the person was a female, but all he could make out was her silhouette. Who is that beautiful lady? Gasped Konohamaru. I need to get a better look. Unfortunately for him, Konohamaru ended up tripping on the end of his scarf, sending him tumbling into the river. By the time Konohamaru popped out of the water, the girl from the waterfall was long gone. The following morning, Konohamaru appeared to have a bit of a cold. Hey Konohamaru, are you alright? Asked Naruto. Yeah, I'm. Aku? Fine, sneezed Konohamaru. You won't believe it, boss. Last night I saw this waterfall and there was this beautiful woman dancing around underneath it. Really? Questioned Naruto quizzically. Oblivious to Konohamaru and Naruto, Hanabi began to blush a shade of red that rivaled even her sister. Konoha, a few days later. After arriving back in Konoha and reporting into Tsunade, the team was dismissed, and while Konohamaru and Hanabi went their separate ways, Hanabi still not able to look at Konohamaru without a slight blush coming to her face after the other night. Before Naruto and Hinata could leave the tower to go and grab Naruto's customary post-mission ramen, they were approached by Sakura and Ino. Thank goodness I ran into the two of you, said a relieved Sakura. Huh, what's going on, Sakura-chan? Asked Naruto. So you know how Sasuke-kun's birthday is this Saturday? Asked Sakura. It took a moment for the thought to come to Naruto's head, but he nodded. Well, we're all getting together to celebrate later that evening, and we're going to throw a big party to celebrate him turning 16 and becoming the official clan head of the Uchiha clan. A party? Asked Naruto. Yeah, everyone's doing something to help out, said an anxious Sakura. Hinata, I was wondering if you'd be able to help me and Ino out with booking one of the party rooms at Barbecue and helping us with the decorations. I'd be happy to, Sakura-san, replied Hinata. What about me? Do you need me to do anything? Asked Naruto. Yeah, groaned Sakura. Yo, Naruto. Naruto turned around to see Kiba and Chuji approaching. Kiba, Chuji, what's up? Asked Naruto. Good thing we found you. Cheered Kiba. I see Sakura mentioned the party to you this weekend. Well, the three of us are in charge of drinks. Anyone who saw Sakura would immediately realize she was seriously regretting that decision to allow Kiba, Chuji, and Naruto to be in charge of that part of the party. Come on Hinata, we need to meet up with Ino and talk this over, said Sakura as she began to drag Hinata off towards the Yamanaka flower shop. So what did you say, Naruto? Ready to make it a night Sasuke won't forget? Grinned Kiba. Or rather one he won't remember. A mischievous grin came to Naruto's face. Oh, I've got just the stuff, he said. It would cost him another bottle of his mount. Myoboku fire sake, but it would most definitely be worth it. Jutsu. Yuken. 8 trigrams, 32 palms rank, B. Seal clones, a new type of clone that Naruto is able to create. Like shadow clones, they are chakra-based, however when the clones are K, the chakra they are made up of places a seal on the K. That seal can be anything from an immobilization seal, to a chakra siphoning seal, to an explosion seal depending on what Naruto's trying to do. As a result of the jutsu, these clones are likely a bit more S than normal clones. Rank B+. Summoning jutsu, rank C. Kaiten, Great Fireball Jutsu, rank C. Futon, Great Breakthrough, rank C. Suten, Water Dragon Jutsu, rank A. Futon, Wind Dragon Bullet, rank B. Yusho, Protection of the 8 trigrams, rank A. Yusho, 8 trigrams, 32 palms, rank B+. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.